Throughout the centuries, philosophers aim to propose a final solution about the nature of reality and the nature of mind itself, including consciousness. Today, we try our best to propose a united theory of mind, including consciousness. What does it consist of? Throughout the centuries, Western philosophers mainly were dealing with something what we call relative consciousness. Relative consciousness is the everyday consciousness, what we experience. We feel things, we think about things, we use our intelligence, we perceive things through our senses, and also decide our own judgments, let's say, about phenomena. So basically, this operating consciousness, what is mainly connected to our brains and also our locomotive abilities connected to that, our behavior and so on. So this is what we called relative consciousness. At the same time, what we shall highlight is that there is something below the waves. There is something behind the pictures on the movie screen. So what helps us thinking about the nature of mind and consciousness itself is to understand that the depth of the ocean, meaning the absolute mind, which is the awareness behind anything we do or whatever we experience or whatever we project with our relative consciousness, is present. So this means that there is a radiant mirror behind the pictures or the movie screen, the radiant movie screen behind the pictures, or there is a still ocean below the constantly moving waves. So this awareness, what our real, what we really are, is actually our absolute mind. This is what we really are. This comes from one life to another, as Eastern philosophy says. So, what is this absolute mind? What are the qualities of it? The way we could understand it is by understanding dimensions. For a Western thought, this is the easiest way to comprehend it. We know that we are living in a 3D consciousness at this moment, a 3D world. What we experience is in 2 dimensions. But just as we experience 2D papers, flat papers, and we can draw on it, in the same way, we could imagine our absolute mind being a 4-dimensional consciousness, we can say. So this consciousness, which contains several space-time contexts, in which several space-time realities can emerge, can bubble up. This is how we can imagine our absolute mind. We can come back even to quantum physics, the double slit experience, which shows that mind creates reality. And also we see several quantum physicists explain how several parallel universes can emerge. What we do now is that we understand that these universes basically emerge in our minds. Why? It's because this mind is not individual. The mind itself, the absolute mind, is not individual, but it connects everything. It is like space. It connects everything, it surrounds everything, it penetrates everything, it manifests everything, actually. So this space-like consciousness, which can emerge individualistic flows within the ocean, it can manifest or create, let's say, bodies which we represent as waves in the ocean. So this is the consciousness. What we talk about when saying it is absolute. So this makes it possible that we can experience intuition. Why? Because to be able to experience intuitively what will happen in the future or what will happen at a distant space on the other side of the globe, we need, as a precondition, this absolute mind, which is behind spatial things or time itself. So this is how intuition works. This is the precondition of intuition, because for intuition one needs this 4D setup in order to be able to manifest it. So when we get close to it, or get familiar with it, and we use practices that gets us familiar with the nature of 4D consciousness, let's say it like that, because it's 4D, at least 4D. We can say it's limitless dimensional. At the same time, just to be able to talk about it, we say 4D. So with this setup, we can purely understand how things work, and this makes us able to understand not only the nature of reality, how mental tendencies can manifest or flow together as energies, as different polarities in space, and these can form certain forms, and these forms can later electromagnetically or magneto-electrically attract different elements, and these elements come together to certain molecules, and so on. They form matter. So this is the way how we can understand how reality works. At the same time, we see that this space-like reality does not only project reality, or reality does not only play inside this space-like reality, like emerging things, playing around and disappearing, things that disappear. So we see also that this is actually the nature of our mind, because our mind has this quality as well. Without it, we could not be able to perceive things remote from a distance, or in time. And there are several examples written down, and we can see in our daily world, and we also experience things like we just feel how that our cousin is going to call us, or our mother is going to call us, and we just look at the phone, and at the moment she's calling us, and so on. So this intuitive impression works because there is a space-like reality behind it, and space penetrates everything, and when we get familiar with space, then we can perceive anything at any points of this space, because it does not matter on which point this wave emerges, because we are the space which penetrates it all. So we can see everything, or let's say intuitively grasp spontaneously things from it. Rupert Sheldrake has studies about intuition, and about people calling each other, and in what and yeah, how often people can guess who's calling them, and it shows that people who are familiar with each other, let's say relatives or people who know each other, like friends, can grasp each other's mind state or situation much easily than those who don't know each other. So this is about absolute consciousness. So in absolute consciousness, or not consciousness, absolute mind. So let's use relative consciousness, because it's connected to emotions, feelings, thoughts, operation of the body, and so on, which is connected to the mind. And let's use the term absolute mind to what? To the thing which is behind absolute consciousness. At the same time, we see that they are like two sides of the same coin, because absolute relative consciousness appears in absolute mind. So maybe this is enough for today to summarize the core of consciousness and absolute mind.